am Alethea Felton, and welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast. If you're struggling in your life with self-sabotaging and negative thoughts that leave you feeling stuck and limit you from moving forward, I can help you. As a holistic health and empowerment coach, I help people identify, challenge, and conquer those thoughts in order to make simple and practical changes to improve overall wellness. Let's remove those limitations, for the time is now to create your power transformation. Hey y'all, I am so grateful that you have joined me yet again for another episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. And I welcome any of you who are new to the podcast. Thank you for joining me today. We have an amazing show for you, and one that I hope resonates with several of you out there. And for this episode, we are going to start, as usual, with our opening affirmation, and I will say it once, and then you repeat it. I am grateful for the opportunities and the lessons that challenging experiences have brought into my life. I am so happy to have yet another guest on the Power Transformation Podcast. This episode is really going to help inspire a lot of people, especially people who may be going through some challenging times right now when it deals with the area of relationships, specifically that of divorce. And I have somebody up here who is not only a person who can speak clearly on this topic, but he's actually, I tell y'all that I always have people that I know so far up here based on their life experiences. But this is one of my first cousins today, Keith Carrington. Hey, Keith.
Hey, how you doing, cuz?
I'm doing great. Yes, y'all, he's one of my first cousins. He is the eldest son of my Uncle Chris, and I'm so honored to have him here today. So Keith, let's go ahead and just jump right into this. I always like to ask guests this question, and you can answer it any kind of way, but who is Keith Carrington?
Yeah. Wow. Uh, I never had to answer that question, Ashley, but I would say that I am a flawed man that loves God. I believe I'm pretty transparent. I'm a go-getter, have always been all my life, a father, father of daughters,
Yes.
3 daughters that I love very deeply. Basically, I am who I am.
Yeah.
I feel I'm a giver. Be a wonderful friend. I can be a loner at times. I think there's so many sides of me. As you know, I'm an entrepreneur. I've had various businesses over the year, which especially my main business has been the hair business that I've been in for over 20 plus years, as far as an owner at that.
Yes. So Keith, real quick, you're based out of which state? Out of
right as of now, of course, I moved, so I'm now living in Texas.
So you're in Texas. So what part of Texas, and also and what's the name of your shop down in Texas?
I'm in an area called New Braunfels. It's a fast-paced growing area. Actually, I think it's like in the top 3 fastest growing cities in the United States.
Wow.
And I'm located in between Austin and San Antonio. I could get the downtown San Antonio in about 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, and I can get to downtown Austin in about 40 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. So I'm like,
Okay.
I'm in between both. One a beautiful area.
Mhm.
And the name of my shop, I've had this name, same name as the shop I had back at home, Kings and Queens.
Kings and Queens. And
Mm-hmm.
for you all, Keith is originally from my hometown area as well, which is Hampton Roads / Tidewater area of Virginia. He was raised in Norfolk. His shops were in Chesapeake, Virginia. And yes, Keith is an entrepreneur. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of people in our family that are entrepreneurs. And I absolutely love the fact that we have that business mindset, giving people other opportunities, giving back to the community, as well as wealth building and wealth growing. So, Keith, you are a multi-layered, multifaceted man, but tell us briefly, doesn't have to be long because I want to get into the heart of our conversation, but just to share a bit more about yourself, what led you to even want to be a barber and entrepreneur?
Actually, I always say it was a God's given gift.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that is because, and first of all, if I may be as transparent as possible,
Mm-hmm.
I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade um, to pursue the life of the streets because at the time it was more appealing.
Yeah.
That mid '80s era and early '90s era, everything was really jumping. I ended up out there in the streets, and I could pretty much say it birthed then in an indirect way without knowing about it,
Mm-hmm.
because even people that's in that lifestyle have a certain degree of entrepreneurship in them, and they don't even know it because of the things you have to do as far as handling money and knowing different things. I don't want to get too deep into that with that, but I was also cutting hair out of my mom's kitchen starting off. And when I got in the streets, some of the guys I would hang with, I would cut their hair. So it was more like a hobby. And it was just something that I picked up, just started actually doing. I was cutting my own hair, cutting my brother's hair, stuff like that. I never knew that it would end up being, in a sense, a life career for me.
Wow.
It wasn't something I intended. That wasn't my goal. I didn't even have a desire to pursue that.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the ending came, as far as me being off the street, a pastor introduced me because I used to hang with his kids that we had went to school with. And he introduced me to somebody that knew a shop.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was like, we can't let this guy right here get back into them streets.
Mm-hmm.
So he introduced me to the guy that had a shop, and they made space for me because the guy was cutting by himself at the time, and he introduced me to the guy, and I ended up cutting with him.
Wow.
And one thing led to another. I ended up going to school, getting my license, and fast forward, I ended up getting my first shop, and that's when I started on Poindexter, and then from there, I went to the next shop, which was in Greenbrier, and then after that, then of course, came the clothing store, the cell phone store, along with other stuff that I was doing on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just something that was in me that I believe God pulled out and allowed me to see that was me. And I believe that I wasn't the type of person that could work for anybody. So as a kid, we had like summer jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as an adult, and it's amazing because now I talk about it more often than I used to. But when I look back at the reality of it, as an adult, I never worked for nobody before. So it was hard for me to hold conversations with people when it came to talking about work or business or having to be to work at this time or what they dealt with on their job. I've always been self-employed.
Yeah.
Always, in a sense, and for years been my own boss, and it's a good feeling, not having to report to somebody or if your child gets sick or you just feel like taking time off, you got to get permission.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and just knowing that, and plus I was one of those ones that didn't like to be told what to do. To keep it real, it was easy to step into those shoes of entrepreneurship and just and there's so many aspects to that, even
of course,
when it comes to faith in a sense,
of course,
as an entrepreneur, you go to work, you make money. If you don't go to work, you don't make money.
That's right.
But you can't tell on a weekly or daily basis how much money you're going to make. So you have to, in a sense, just not only have the faith in God, but also faith in yourself and what you're capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because how else can you survive?
And I really appreciate you going that much in depth. And the reason why I did that type of questioning is because it all adds to the fact as an entrepreneur, you've had ups, you've had downs, you've had in-betweens, but your resilience to not only bounce back, but to continue to keep going, growing, and to earn a level of success in your life is just awe-inspiring. And the reason why I did that is as a segue to talking about our topic for today is that sometimes people experience things where they don't see any way out of it. They may feel as if they won't ever learn from the experience or grow from it or transform. But you, Keith, your life in general is truly the epitome of the Power Transformation podcast, in that you took things in your life that were challenges and you've transformed them and continue to evolve and grow and transform them into power. And I also have to say, this one statement is that one thing I've appreciated within our family, and all family has its highs and its lows, but one positive thing that I can say more than one positive thing, but one thing about the men in our family, our brothers work. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. Our men, I always grew up in a family or seen a family of uncles, cousins, my own dad, men who work. Women also, but I emphasize the Black male working because that's all I've ever known are Black men who worked and set that work ethic for a lot of different people and whatnot. But in terms of you, Keith, so let's get into the heart of this. All right. What I appreciate is that you and I are close, and it's a handful of the first cousins that I'm very, very close with. And I appreciate it because I have my own individual bonds with each of you, and I appreciate that. But with you, you've taught me a lot over the years and have shared a lot about yourself. And one thing I know, you're a faithful subscriber and listener to this podcast, and I thank you for that. But let's talk about this topic that you approached me with, and we talked about it. We both had ups and downs when it comes to love, okay? I've never been married, but I've had a couple of close calls. I've planned a whole wedding, just about all of that. But you've actually experienced marriage, but also divorce. And that is something that a lot of people go through. The stats in our country is that over 50% of marriages in our country end in divorce. And so you have a transformation story even with that. So kind of like take us back. What made you first of all, even say you wanted to be married in your life?
It was a desire, and it became a desire because at first I never wanted to be married.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand something. The transformation came when I got off the streets. When I was on the streets, I had nowhere possible and nothing in me to be married. Actually, my goal was to make as much money as possible
Mm-hmm.
and have a girl in a different state that I could visit when I wanted to go to that state.
Keep it
That was
real, cuz.
that was a goal. I mean,
Uh-huh.
a crazy goal, but that was a goal, you know. And I would have to say that, but I wasn't taught how to be married.
Mm-hmm.
And the examples that I seen were my great grandparents. They both got married at the age of 16, you know, on my mother's side.
Mm-hmm.
And they stayed married till they both died at the age of 86.
Wow.
And they were so close that they died 6 months apart.
Mm.
So the perception that I got from that were that they were so close and loved each other so much that one couldn't bear living life without the other. And that right there within itself touched me, because you got to think, when I was living the lifestyle that I was living in the past in my younger days, I was already looked at in a certain way. It wasn't looked at, they didn't look and see my character or what led me to be out there the way I was. The only thing they saw was, oh, that boy ain't no good, or he ain't about nothing, he ain't nothing but trouble, this and that. But they didn't know the issues and stories behind that had me out there like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I made the transformation as far as getting my life right, there's two things I want. I felt that, you know, I had, like I said before, I dropped out of school. So it was two things that I wanted to accomplish and be great at in life. One was being a great father, and the second was being a great husband.
Mm.
And so I, you know, and and it became almost like the greatest struggles, because they were the only things that I really wanted to be great at. I never wanted to be certain things you don't have to wish for or hope for if you're already walking in it.
Okay.
So I never wished to be a great entrepreneur, because I always felt that I was one.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm not at the level that I desire to be at, that has nothing to do with me believing that I'm great at it. You know, so that wasn't something I had to, in a sense, wish for or desire.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to the fatherhood, because of seeing what people went through, and a lot of that had a lot to do with relationships, you know, or the father not being involved in the house and stuff like that. And I knew that even if I wasn't with my child's mother, I still could be a great father.
Yeah.
And so when I had got involved in church, and also, and I think we talked about this before, and I want to reiterate, because of course, you know, I got married a couple of times.
Yes.
And a lot of times when you see somebody, one time it didn't work to get remarried, but then after that second marriage, you start questioning, well, something must be wrong with that person.
Mm.
But sometimes we as people have the right desires and just make bad choices in life. My first marriage didn't last a year. I had just got off the streets, met a girl in church. We slept with each other, and I didn't want to be looked at as someone that was trying to run around and sleep through everybody in church.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her to marry me, because I felt that she in church, she loved God, I love God. That's all we need. God to make it work, which wasn't the case. After we got married, a few months after we got married, she got pregnant by somebody else.
Wow.
And so that's kind of the marriage that I really don't talk about. But to be transparent, yeah, my first marriage, I was married 3 times.
Yeah.
My first marriage didn't last a year. You know, so I waited 10 years before I got remarried.
And
After I got,
and in that in between time of those 10 years, was there anyone else that you had considered marrying, or you just wanted to just take a break
no,
completely?
no, because the first portion of it is the battle within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
the battle of, knowing that, hey, I did everything right. And, I felt like this. I felt like when I was in the streets, I didn't even deal with this. And now here it is, I get my life right. And I got to deal with this. Some out of all the things, this is what I deal with. So you deal with a lot of mixed emotions, a lot of questionings. Um, and it was so much because, and plus, of course, this could probably be another topic sometime down the line for you. Dealing with church hurt,
Mm-hmm.
because when she got pregnant with somebody else, the church turned against me because they were saying that, oh, he's not even claiming this child. It's not my child.
Mm-hmm.
Which eventually it came out, but still, that was something that I had to deal with for a while. And then on top of that, it was during the time when both of my great grandparents I was telling you about, both of them had died.
Mm-hmm.
So I was dealing with that particular year when that happened. It's like multiple deaths had happened in my family too. Within a span of a year, I think it was like 6 family members that had died in my family. Like both great grandparents, cousins, a great aunt, stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I was dealing with a lot.
Wow.
And so, and eventually, and I'll be honest, and eventually I gravitated back to what I was comfortable with, which meaning that I stuck my feet back out in the streets.
Got you. Mm-hmm.
So that whole process went on until then of course, eventually, I moved to Maryland and
Mm-hmm.
was living in Maryland for a minute. And then when I came back was when I actually opened up my businesses. So even though I was an entrepreneur then, a lot of the things I was doing was more so like side hustles and stuff. I was cutting hair, but I was in somebody's shop,
Yeah.
but I still had other things I was doing on the side. But when I came back, got back in church, and that's when my second marriage came about. My second marriage on paper lasted for 12 years, but I left during the 8th year. The
Mm-hmm.
divorce didn't get finalized, and then till like after 12 or so, 11, 12 years of us being together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a friendship there, you know. That's when my kids were born. Well, I had my oldest daughter,
Yes.
and
Uh-huh. Yes.
then my last 2 kids came from that marriage. And that was basically, I always said that it was a arranged marriage.
How so?
And I say that because at the time we was in church, we were friends. And during that particular time, I was the type of person that I love God deeply, but I always looked up to people that I felt that was more spiritual than me.
Mm.
So when they said things, I took it as gold. Like, they more spiritual, they know what they're talking about. I said that to say that eventually someone prophesied, then someone else started backing that up. And
I
of
know
course,
about that.
they
Yeah.
were saying, hey, the Lord said this is supposed to be your wife.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't the man that actually went out and found the wife. I was
Mm.
prophesied to saying that this was my wife. We talked about it. We both wanted to do what we felt that was right before God. And we wanted to do our, so the thing is that our intentions and motives was right, but it was still done the wrong way, in a sense. Because we married, not because we really wanted to be with each other. Now, we had a love for each other because we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we hung out and stuff like that. It was never intimate, no kissing. Actually, we didn't kiss, hug, or nothing to actually after we got married.
Wow.
Yes, because we wanted to really be right in the eyes of God.
Mm-hmm.
So there was nothing intimate, nothing before the marriage.
Interesting.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that wife
Yeah.
right there, actually, we got married in our early 30s, like 30, 31, 32, something like that. And she was still a virgin.
Okay.
So when we got married, by our second year, I was ready to get out of the marriage. Because now it was like it was a difference,
Did you all have any premarital counseling and all of that?
Yes, we did. And you know what was funny? Every time the issue in counseling about sex came up, that's the part she always avoided. So it got to the point that we didn't finish counseling. And so, but I always say this to people, and that would lead also to the last marriage. You can have two good people that simply don't complement each other character-wise. You heard so many people after they break up, the person that they once were in love with, now they bashing them, they hate them, they're the worst person on earth. They got everything negative to say about the person. But do we ever take time to sit back and think to learn the character of a person? See, when we go after somebody, we look at all the superficial things about that person or the material things as far as what they have or what they may can offer and how we can benefit. So, like I said, when we got married, it wasn't about character. It wasn't about physically or mentally complementing one another. See, I knew the style of person that she liked. She was more to the athletic type guys, tall guys, play basketball, stuff like that. I'm not that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was more to the LL Cool J around the way girl type that can throw on a cap, jeans, still look fly. But if we go out, you can still dress up and hang with the best on,
Yeah.
So that was kind of my type, but that's not what I went after. Because like I said, once again, we listening to church folks and trying to do right before God. And so that's when I really started dipping more into the word of God to learn it more for myself. So I could stop listening to other people and realize it was more about having that personal relationship with God instead of with people. So I don't know what type of platform you got. You may have both religious and
yes,
people.
I do. Trust me.
So for both people,
yeah.
I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I do believe in trusting and believing and following God, but it's about having a personal relationship with him and you hearing, because what he may tell me, he may tell you something totally different. So because of our characters, we're two different people. We respond differently, react differently. But
and yes, in terms of my platform, I know some of the people who hear it personally, and I know that out of those everybody is not necessarily Christian, but they are not offended when I talk about God or anything like that. And I think regardless of a person's spiritual beliefs, I think that, well, I know, speaking for me, I can still learn from anyone, even if they don't worship the same God I do or practice what I practice. So it's totally okay. Now, in terms of your third wife transitioning there, what happened with that?
Third wife, we knew each other. I wouldn't even say we were friends. We knew each other. It was a somewhat of an attraction there, but it was always on a business level. I was involved. I was in the travel industry, so as well.
Yeah.
And we knew each other from that platform. And it didn't happen until I actually moved to Texas. When I moved to Texas, she called me one day and said that she was coming to Texas. They had some type of women's meeting. She wanted to know what part of Texas I was in. She wanted to see me, we hang out or whatever. So fine. And so when she finally came, I went and picked her up, told her, you ain't got to get in a hotel. You can stay with me. I let you spend no money. You can stay at my house. So that's when we both acknowledged that we had been feeling each other. She admitted that she had been that she was attracted to me. I let her know that, hey, I've been checking you out too. I just wanted to keep it business though. I didn't want to take it there. And, that led to us getting closer, talking. And then I will also say that my patience is getting better now because of the things that I had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit that I have to learn how to stop rushing into things. Because I'm the type of person that once I want something, I want it and I want it then.
So put a pin there. I'm going to come back to it because I'm going to kind of shift after you talk about this one to go more in terms of what you and I talked about on the phone a couple of weeks ago. Because you kind of brought it up there in terms of the introspection factor. So just put a pin there. I'll come back to that. So y'all were feeling each other, and then what happened?
So she was visiting. This was in February 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked her when she coming back. She said, yeah, she was coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, when you come back, you staying for good. She thought I was playing. So I gave her a key to the house and a key to the car. And I was like, when you come back, you coming back for good. Like I said,
Okay.
I want something, I want it then,
Uh-huh.
The truth of the matter is, for women that's in these long-term engagements or in a long-term relationship, waiting for men to propose to them,
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is, a real man knows what he wants, really.
Mm.
So if you're waiting for a long time, he's still some unsurety there.
Yep.
And at that particular time, that's what I wanted. And so I solidified that by saying, hey, when you come out, you coming back for good. And during the process of time while she was gone, I went out, bought the ring to have the proposal and everything. So that was in February, March. I think when she came back in the end of March or April, she came back. And when she came back, I had it all set up I took out proposal and everything.
You ain't wasting no
And
time.
and we got married in that August, that same year.
Hey. So this is interesting here. So I know people are wondering, okay, if y'all had this business connection, if y'all were feeling each other, if things seem to be going well, then what happened?
It goes back to character. Not really learning a person because, like I said, we knew each other. Now, this was in 2018. We actually met, I want to say, around the end of 2014. So we
Oh.
known each other for some years. So it's not like somebody just met, rose to, or stuff like that. We've known each other. Now, what happened was throughout that process. Now, I'm like this. Like I said in the beginning, I believe I'm a transparent person.
Yeah.
So whoever I meet, I always put myself out there, meaning that I open myself up like a book, and I tell the good and the bad about me because I feel that gives the person an option to say, hey, I don't think I want to deal with that, or this is something that I could work around or deal with. It wasn't reciprocated,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't pay it no attention at the time. So I started seeing things as time went on that I would say to myself, yeah, if I knew about this or if I knew this, then I probably would have held off or wanted to. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I didn't find out certain things until after the fact. But I still did that. But and it was times that I would have been out of the marriage. But I have to, and going back to God, I also, and I think I shared this with you before too. I always come out of the blue with certain things some people don't think about asking or talking about, especially when it comes to relationship with God. But I asked the question basically when I said I asked God that I said I believe that it's a level of love out there that people haven't tapped into yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because love could be deep. You know, people are quick to say, you know, how much they love somebody that they'll lay their life down for. Well, literally, it was a younger cousin that grew up under me like a brother. And he would confirm this. I put my life on the line for him. So when I say I love you and I would die for you, I'm not saying it just to sound good. I'm saying it because that's something I've done before.
Mm.
I literally, when I say literally put my life on the line, I'm talking about got put on the ground. I had a gun put to my head and had the gun shot beside the side of my head to help him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I will put my life on the line for those that I love. I'm saying that to say that every time it got to the point that I was willing to, I even thought about or contemplated on giving up on the marriage, you know, the spirit would speak to me and say, remember what you asked for? Remember what you said you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt that I had to continue to fight for that. So of course, as time went on, you know, and I don't even want to get into too many details as far as what I've done, you know, because I just believe in taking care of what's mine.
Okay.
And I've always been like that. So it ain't something new. That's just my character.
But
But
so
you know, I went through that process of when my sister died.
yeah.
Um, and that's, you know, even to this day I still battle with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had people on my mom's side of the family die.
Mm-hmm.
Then somebody did that I grew up with, went to school with, had died. And then
Yeah.
of course my nephew turned around and died.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was not so long ago. It was like
Yeah.
some months ago.
And
You know, matter of fact, you're the one that called me when
those,
it
yeah,
happened. You
and
know, and
yeah,
so
and those deaths, you know, specifically with my first cousin, your sister, your nephew, even with, you know, cousin Clay, you know, those are still huge losses in our family.
yeah, yeah.
But in terms of the marriage itself, when did you decide, uh, well, I've had enough, or did you?
And I didn't. That's the point. That's the point I'm leading up to, because all of this was taking place.
Yeah.
So you would think that you would have some type of consolement, or you know, as far as being in the marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All of this had been taking place. Like when that happened with Darby, that was September.
Yeah.
When November get here, we're approaching the holidays now. I had no idea. We were sitting there watching TV.
Okay.
And she up and told me, I don't feel like being married no more.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't that you know what I'm saying? I was still fighting for the marriage. Now, mind you, there was no infidelity involved on my behalf anyway. I can't speak for her. I never caught her doing nothing, but at the end of the day, I don't know. For to
Mm-hmm.
make a statement like that, you know. But
Yeah.
there was no infidelity involved. There was no abuse involved. I've never been an abusive person towards women. Never. So of course you have your ups and downs, you go through things. And they are the only things that I could see. It was a financial strain for me because I was handling everything and I felt I wasn't getting any help.
Hmm.
So it would be me wanting to walk away, but I didn't.
Had you ever considered counseling, either of you, or in any of your marriages? Did you ever consider counseling
Um,
during the marriage?
doing
And yeah.
doing the second one, not this one.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
doing the second one. This one right here, just I mean, it could have been, but like I said, everything. It seemed like it felt like everything was planned. And the reason I say it was planned because the way that things happened, like you out of the blue say, I don't feel like being married no more, and 2 weeks later, you had already had moving truck scheduled to come and take the furniture and everything out of the house.
And so
you already had a place that you was moving it to.
Mm-hmm.
So of course that puts you back in a position of thinking, what was the motive?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you even say yes to marry me? Did you look because of my past, what I used to make, and saw the potential of me getting back to that point or something? I mean, it was so many different thoughts and mixed emotions. But the difference is because the difference was that I was more insecure in who I was. So when it happened, I think because when I saw her facial expression from my response, it was like she wasn't expecting that response. Because when she said it, I said,
and what I'll do too is, as to not go too in depth as to her reactions and stuff, because I don't have her here. Is what I want to do is like shift it to ask you this. Okay, when we talked on the phone a few weeks ago, you brought up a really great point. And I think this is what really helped me. And I think can even help other people, men, women alike, going through the experience of divorce. Because I don't want people to think, and I want to make this clear, I don't want people to think Keith is trying to act like he's oh so perfect. He ain't never said that about himself, but he said something powerful to me over the phone. He said to me that after every breakup he had, he also took time to do self-reflection
and I was going to say that.
Introspection himself. And tell people, what is the power? So if a person is experiencing this right now, what is the power in somebody, despite what their spouse could have done or they think they have done? Why is it so powerful to do introspection and self-reflection?
It really helps you. It's a big help to self. Because it's so easy to point the finger at somebody else. That's the easy part. The hard part is facing the true reality of who you are, the things that you allowed in your life, why you deal or go through certain cycles. Sometimes you deal with stuff and go through things that's inherited through generational curse. And sometimes you, like I said before, it's easy to focus on other people.
Yeah.
It's easy to sit back and assume why people go through what they go through, why somebody did what they did, because it helps keep the focus off of you and what could have been negatively done on your end. A lot of people don't want to see that about themselves.
Oh yeah.
But that's one of the greatest things that helps you grow and get stronger. Because how can you change for the better if you don't do that? If you're not willing to face the negative things about your life and about who you really are.
And so thinking about where you are now, what have you learned about yourself?
That I need to be more of a student of the things that I put out there, because I can give people great advice. And I do listen to some of my advice, but then sometimes I don't, and until I have to share it with somebody else, and then it reflects back on me and something that I went through and was like, yeah, hey, I should have applied that to myself,
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the things that I should have taken into consideration.
Yeah.
But another thing is that it just helps. It's a lot. It's just something when you have to put the focus on self instead of others.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I had to I had to evaluate what I could have done wrong.
Mm.
The changes that I could have made.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything that I've done to cause this person to even get to that position in life to make them make the decisions that they made?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when people go through stuff, things actually could be worked out. But you got some people that's comfortable with concealing things instead of talking it out, because you never, and I've even heard somebody else talk about it on dealing with relationships. Sometimes even from the woman's perspective, you can't assume or think a man knows what you want if you don't tell him. And sometimes as a man, we're doing things and we're getting upset because we feel that we're not being appreciated, but that may not be what she wants or needs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the communication comes in at. If you're not communicating, then it's hard to know what each other want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, in the communication, I can know that, hey, I may be doing this, but she may need this done. And communication, he can know that, hey, she don't like the way I'm acting, handling this,
Mm-hmm.
So I need to change up, because a person can only do what they was taught to do. And see, a lot of times in life, as far as me anyway, I was self-taught. Some people learn through books.
Yeah.
Some people learn through personal examples. I was one that always had to learn things through life examples. A lot of stuff I wasn't taught.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? So being a high school dropout, not having a father figure in my life, and stuff like that, a lot of things I had to learn. Everything you learn off the streets isn't always the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have to reevaluate things, because all of us are instilled with knowing right from wrong, especially after we get to a certain age.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful. What would you say to somebody that's experiencing divorce right now and that loss of it, and maybe having a hard time coping with it? What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them, first of all, if it's something that could be worked out, try to work it out. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times things can be more minimal than what we make it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the problem is only 10%. The other 90% is how we respond to it. Mm-hmm. It's just that in our response, we'll make it seem like the problem is 90%. Mm-hmm. But then if it's something that can't be rectified or taken care of, then hey, move on. But the thing is this: each person knows themselves, whether they want to realize it or not. And I say that to say that because some people are manipulators, some people are out for self, and then you have some people that are simply givers and they attract takers. And when a taker can't take no more, then they move on to the next person they can take from.
Mm. Yeah.
But you have to know, you also have to be secure in yourself and who you are, because that's a big key to moving forward. Mm-hmm. You can't move. It's going to be hard to move forward if you sit there and you hold on to bitterness, anger, hatred. That stops you. One of the first things I had to do when I went through my divorce was the first forgive her. That wasn't more so for her. It was more so for me to be able to move on. Mm-hmm. Whether she deserved forgiveness or not, I can't worry about that. But if I hold on to that, then it would make it difficult, because if I don't forgive, then I'm gonna sit here and think about all the negative things that I experienced, dealt with, the stuff that I gave up, the stuff that I've done. So it's easy, because one of the first things I said was, God dang, that just wasted 5 years of my life that could have went towards somebody else that really deserved it. Mm. But if I let that marinate and settle in my mind, then it would be hard for me to continue to move on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll still be stuck right there, thinking the same thought and letting that seed grow into something else.
That's powerful. And like I had shared with you, that's how I had to feel about my most recent breakup. It'll be a year, the end of June. And as I said, he was someone I had known for a while. We had lost touch, reconnected. But I also shared with you that in my history of relationships, situationships, engagements, etc., one thing, Keith, that I told you, and I'll be honest about, a lot of people know about my health journey, but who I am has far more to do than what I have overcome with health. And I'll probably talk about this separately, independently, but one of the mistakes I made in my past was something that you hit on earlier, and it was me allowing certain things to continue and to carry on without properly having the right boundaries, ignoring my instinct, ignoring judgment about certain aspects. And that's what hindered me a lot from really breaking fully into getting the relationship that I truly deserved and was worthy of. However, I was talking to a friend the other day and something hit me. I'm thinking of that from the capacity of where I am now. And so with me being almost 42 and having been engaged back in the day when I was like 20, I'm taking almost 22 years of different situations and circumstances and saying, oh, with this, I shouldn't have done X. With that, I shouldn't have. But Keith, real talk, I didn't have the capacity or the knowledge or the wisdom that I have now to even know how to break those cycles. And so now that I have it, now I can honestly say, first of all, God, I thank you for protection. And secondly, now I can move forward in my future with being with that person, that man who loves me completely, fully, but I also know I'm worthy of that as well. And it wasn't always like that. So I think even with you, the wisdom you have now versus what you had in your first marriage, it gets you to have a different perspective because you didn't necessarily have that same level of capacity that you have now. And so maybe then choices could have been different, but I thank God for time. I'm grateful for wisdom. I'm grateful for insight, and I'm grateful for the experiences. And you are so right, is with all of my situations, I couldn't let bitterness take me over because that would have stunted my growth and I wouldn't be able to be where I am today and completely free.
Yeah, you can't. And truthfully, that's where that's when you get to that point, that's when truly you obtain wisdom. So a lot of people have knowledge, they know, but knowledge don't become wisdom until you know how to apply the knowledge that you actually have.
Yes, exactly. Yes, sir.
So once you get to that point, then that's when and like I said, I had to learn a lot the hard way. I was a hard-headed person. I was a thick-headed child. I always wanted things to be done my way or one, you know what I'm saying? It's just but that comes along with the lifestyle that I used to live, but I still don't regret none of it, I've learned a lot. Like they would say, the old saying, school of hard knocks. I don't take nothing away from it.
That's right. That's right.
All the bad, all the things that I've endured in life, I don't want to take away none of those experiences, because the experiences and stuff that I've had to live were things that people only see in movies or read about in books.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, we didn't get nowhere in depth as far as the things that I've actually went through and endured.
That's right. But, yeah.
Basically wanted to keep your podcast at PG level, maybe PG-13.
Look, I let people say whatever they want up here, but the reason I didn't go that route is because that's like a totally different topic for a different.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't. But that part of your story is very inspirational as well. But
yeah, but I still have belief in relationships, marriage. It's just about, like I said before, complimenting, communication.
That's right.
Know the person that you're getting entangled with. Learn the character of that person. Like I said before, I've been saying this for years. You can have two good people, whose characters simply don't complement one another.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So get to know. I would tell these people to get to know the person that you're dealing with. Learn that character. You know what I'm saying? Because you mess around and you really could just simply have a best friend.
And I will say that too, is that, there's so many unfortunate stereotypes when it comes to Black women and all of that. But I can honestly say, with every man I've been in a relationship with, even the couple I was in situationships with, I can't sit here and say they were horrible, terrible people. They weren't bad men. It's just that we all make choices. We all go through things in life. Everybody is at a certain point in life. And I'm not excusing the things that happen, but, I'm not going to sit here and bash anybody. And I still know there are good men out there. There are. Look, Keith, I would love to keep this going, but we are just about at time. This is what I want to do. I thank you for being up here, but you are in Texas. And what I want to do for any listeners that I have in Texas that are close to you, if you could again give us the name of your shop and the address in case people want to connect. That way, Keith is a master barber. He will hook you up. So Keith, again, could you share your business information, please?
Yeah, Kings and Queens. Kings and Queens Cuts by Keith. New Braunfels, Texas, 349 Creekside Way, Suite 7.
Creekside Way, Suite 7. And I will also have this in our
show notes.
On
Instagram. I have an Instagram page, Kings and Queens Cuts by Keith on Instagram. That'll give you information as well. And it'll show you some of my work as well as on Facebook.
Perfect. Thank you so much, because this was fun. I really appreciate this. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for just being you. And I thank you. Yes, you are my cousin, but I thank you for our friendship over the years. And I'm very thankful for you. I'm blessed to have you in my life, and I love you dearly.
Love you too. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed today's show, then you don't want to miss an episode. So follow the Power Transformation Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you usually listen, and remember to rate and review. I also invite you to connect with me on social media at Alethea Felton. That's at ALETHEAFELTON. Until next time, remember to be good to yourself and to others.